Before being a YouTuber, which I've been doing for the last 12 years, I was a teacher. I taught in all sorts of schools. I taught in middle school, I taught in elementary school, I taught in high school, several, in fact, all over the country. And I also taught for a few years through the EU funds of university and research. I did that for a total of 10 years. Yes, I look younger than I am. In all of that experience, there is one thing that I've realized. Yes, being a teacher is a job. It's a career path. But before being a job, it is a calling, and it is a calling of public trust. And teachers have an incredible responsibility, particularly when it comes to the next generation, because they are shaping the minds of our future leaders, of the people that will be the structural pillars of our future society. This is why when I see something like this, my blood boils. Teacher allegedly showed Charlie Kirk assassination video to 10 and 11-year-olds, told students he deserved to be killed. Prison. Immediately. Prison. A public school teacher has been suspended after allegedly showing a video of Charlie Kirk's assassination to students as young as 10 in his class, authorities in Canada said. The teacher also suggested that Kirk deserved to be killed and gave the young students a speech about anti-fascism and transgender issues, according to a report. I want to repeat myself multiple times on this video. Prison. Open quotes. Several students from his class went home and complained to their parents, traumatized at witnessing the on-camera death, which they were forced to witness numerous times over. Close quotes. A source told the Toronto Sun after the shocking incident at a school in Toronto on Thursday. Can you imagine that 10-year-olds, these children are going to need therapy. These children are going to be scarred psychologically. That video scarred me. Gosh, I hope it's not the one that shows all the blood, but at this point, regardless, both of them, both of the videos, this is absolutely unacceptable. Parents subsequently reached out to school administrators who will be putting him on leave at the start of the school day, September 12, 2025. What do you mean putting him on leave? Send the authorities. Put him in cuffs. The source added, while playing this video repeatedly, he gave a speech to his students regarding anti-fascism, anti-trans, because he's talking about how Charlie was against trans, they say, even though this is nonsense, because Charlie was against transitioning for children, but he was always very compassionate when he spoke to transgender students at university. So whoever tells you he was a transphobe, they are liars. Probably the same ilk of this teacher. And how Charlie deserved for this to occur. A letter went to home on Friday to all students affected by the showing of the video, calling the teacher's alleged behavior extremely troubling and completely disturbing, the Toronto Sun reports. This is like the understatement of the freaking millennium. It's demonic, it's diabolical. It's the corruption of the innocent mind, which is something only the most depraved revel in. It is people like this that try to turn everything that is good and just into rubble. I want to continue this, but I have something else to say. Directly from me I wasn't about to say former teacher, but at this point, once a teacher, always a teacher. Clearly, the debauchery that it's been mentioned here is an attempt from the teacher to do political indoctrination and propaganda onto young minds. And the reason why political indoctrination is so violently pushed onto the youth and the children is the following. From the extreme end, which is this, to all the rest that we've been seeing for all these years. Continuous political messaging and mind reprogramming from as young as first grade elementary school. Now, the reason is because the younger the student, or the target, should we say, the more malleable their minds. And that is the reason why propaganda onto children is so effective. That is because a child will adapt and accept any message that is presented to them multiple times in constant, spaced repetition by someone they deem to be a person of authority. Now, generally speaking, that would be the parents, but oftentimes teachers are also perceived as people of authority. And depending on how busy of a parent you are doing your job, they might end up spending more time with your kids than you do. And these activist teachers, their influence is so pernicious and insidious into the young ones, not only because they are a figure of authority, as we just discussed, but also because the message they push, once it gets accepted by the rest of the class, which represents the majority of a group, each single remaining child will end up accepting it too as a way to fit in. The psychology of the group is different from the psychology of the individual. The mass often responds to effective psychological stimuli as a single body rather than as a cluster of differently thinking individuals. And what this ends up creating is that as a parent, you'll send your students to school because you want them to get an education, and you end up instead having your son or daughter being indoctrinated, and now they think as they come home that you're a bigot and you're part of the problem. And that is not only disgusting, but fundamentally unnatural. And it's an attempt at destroying the foundation of the family, which is the foundation of our society and nation. Everything starts at the family. So if you destroy the family, you destroy the core that keeps society together. And after this is complete, all these activists need to do is wait, because your generation will die out, and then the next generation will all think like them. Therefore, they'll vote like them, because they shaped them. It's sickening, exploitative, and we are already seeing it happen. 20th century Europe, anyone? Germany, Spain, Italy, Russia. And then I'm not supposed to speak? Oh, I will speak, all right. I'll tell you more about propaganda. Keep watching. This is going to be an intense video, but it's going to be good. During class, students were said to have been shown a portion of a violent video in response to questions being asked about a recent tragic event in the United States. Read the letter signed by Covett Junior Public School Principal Jennifer Copty. The letter stated that the video was allegedly shown to students in grades 5 and 6, typically aged 10, 11, by a staff member, aka activist, who was supervising a French immersion class and was not the regular teacher. Yeah, but this happens with regular teachers too, make no mistake. While an investigation must still be conducted to learn all of the details, the report of this incident is extremely troubling and completely unacceptable. Yeah, you already said that. We recognize the seriousness of this matter and have taken immediate steps to follow all appropriate policies and procedures, Copty wrote. The teacher has been relieved of all teaching responsibilities pending the outcome of the investigation and will not be at the school, the letter continued. Assistance is being offered to any children traumatized by the incident. Any children, all of them, every single one of them. Copty. So, yeah, that's the news for today, I suppose. It really is a matter of the corruption of purity. This is what it is. And it has multiple layers, whether it be through OnlyFans, whether it be through this kind of justification for extreme violence in order to, as I say, produce a new generation of sociopaths, whether it be through all of the different types of politics that have been pushed on our children. And this connects to something else. Oftentimes when we complain justly, when you as a parent complain about this kind of stuff happening, including all of the different types of political indoctrination, whether it be with the LGBTQ flag, whether it be with the preferred pronouns, whether it be with the transgender flag, whatever type of political whether it be fascists are bad, these are the fascists, guys, I hate them, whatever it is, we complain that they are indoctrinating our children, and justly so. But oftentimes people on the other side, and I've seen intelligent people do this, people that I have at least a certain level of respect because of other aspects, but I've seen them say this back to us, particularly if you're a Christian like me, and they'll tell us, oh, the people who will teach religion to their children and indoctrinating them are now telling us about indoctrination. So let me demolish that point at its very core using reason and logics. See, here's the reason why the two things are not the same, and therefore your example is not pertinent. When a parent who is a Christian decides to bring up their own child, as we will, me and my wife, as soon as we have a child, they are teaching the doctrines of their church to their kid. Their kid. But when an activist teacher is teaching politics and propaganda to the children, they are indoctrinating your kids. Do you see the massive difference in this situation? As the parent, you have the right to teach what you think is the best way to live your life, what you believe to be true, whatever that may be, I don't care the religion at this point, and what you think will bring the highest amount of joy and happiness to your child. It's your right to do that. And by the way, in the same way I defend my fellow Christian brothers and sisters, if you're a Buddhist, of course. If you are an atheist and you want to teach your child, oh, religion is nonsense. No, think about science only. It's your child. So I will, even though I disagree with you, and I'm a strong science supporter, by the way. I just think that science and religion can absolutely coexist in the mind of an individual. I can make a video about that if you want. But regardless of whether you agree with that or not, I would fight for your freedom to teach secularism to your child. Why? Because it's your child. Now you'll agree with me, having established this line of intellectual honesty, that the same way, one thing that we can do as parents is that after I teach religion to my child, Christianity, and after you teach secularism to your child, or Buddhism, whatever the heck it is, that child becomes an adult, they are 18, they're like, you know what, I'm an atheist, I have to respect that. I did my part, and I will love my child all the same. Likewise, if you taught secularism to your child, but when they are 18, they're like, you know what, no, I want to be baptized as a Christian. You have to respect that. You did your job as a parent to teach them the way that you think will bring more happiness and joy to them and what you believe to be the truth. However, as they become adults, they're their own individual, and they decide, no, I want to become a Christian. You should respect that and love them all the same. The reason why the argument that I discussed earlier on, which by the way people do use all the time, against me specifically, the reason why that argument is a false equivalence is because you cannot compare this to a teacher teaching what they believe, even though you don't believe it, to your kids. That's unacceptable. And when it comes to religion, even in Italy, where I'm from, extremely Catholic country, religion is the teaching of the Roman Catholic religion at school, it's optional. So if you're a family that, for instance, is atheist, or if you have a family and you are Jehovah's Witnesses, what happens is that you opt out. So either your kid, this is what happened, because I know there was a Jehovah's Witness in my class, and there was an atheist in my class, and so when we were like 14, so what happens is either they stay in the class, but they don't participate, they just read whatever they want, doesn't matter, or they will have an alternative class, they do civic teachings, it doesn't matter. So even in a Catholic country like that, even in a high percentage Catholic country like that, you have the option. But with these teachers, you opt shit. You don't opt anything. They decide what's right and they teach your kids, and that is unacceptable. So to try and say that these two are two equal forms of indoctrination, so you're a hypocrite, well then you're an idiot if you think that. Speak the truth. The teachers do not have the right to teach these politics onto our children. So what I say is this: fire them all. If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Stand with us, form the wall, defend the truth.